get my phone ready.
So that's it. We're going to start with an argument, are we? There's something professional about this.
Intro.
We're starting arguing. Do you want to do an intro rather than arguing?
Crack on.
Yeah, go on then.
Go on
Let's
then.
do an intro.
Team Calhoun.
I don't know which
Anyone.
now.
Anyone.
Let's do that one. Right, we're back. Calhoun review, live podcast, live stream, FIFA. We're going to talk more shit, and we're going to play some more bang average FIFA as usual. We were just arguing about Pastore being on the bench.
It's the important stuff that we're covering this week.
It is.
Who are you, Head Calhoun?
So yeah, who are you?
Yeah, I'm Luke.
You're Rory. I'm
I'm Alexi.
Yeah.
You've had a different name each week.
He's a man of many personalities.
Yes.
Sometimes he's called Spider. Sometimes he's called the Phenom.
Right.
Yes, right.
Tonight we've got 4 games. We're going to blitz through.
Is that right?
4 or 5.
Potentially 5.
Potentially 5. I think I reckon more than likely 5.
Yeah. So in the news, first game we're going to play PSG Barca.
Why are we doing that?
Why are we doing that? Because
Rory Calhoun. Why are we doing that?
the Neymar.
Yeah, Neymar, like the biggest story
Go on then.
this week.
Hit me with it.
Right. PSG are apparently willing to match his €222 million buyout clause.
Madness.
And then, depending on who you believe, he's either 1, agreed to sign for them, or 2, has no interest in signing for him.
He's in the news right now. He's just
right.
injured.
That wouldn't have happened to Pastore.
Well,
No,
it
he
wouldn't.
can't
No,
play
because
right
he wouldn't be playing right back, would he? But the good thing about that is that this has forced me into putting Serge Aurier on. I chose Meunier, actually, for those of you, none of you interested. I chose Meunier because of his pace over Serge Aurier, but Serge Aurier has got better crossing, which is going to be great for me because I don't think I've ever crossed the ball in FIFA. So that's good. So yeah, €222 million.
222.
I think we decided a little while ago that we weren't actually going to focus on the money that much with transfers because the money is essentially pointless. If a club feels that it can pay that money, well then we'll let it pay that.
Let's talk a bit about the motivation in Neymar's way of thinking. Like, why would he want to go there?
Okay, right. Well, we've covered this before.
Tell me.
We covered this the other day, so we spoke off the stream. Me and Alexi did, and the suggestion from some in the nose, and you know I love my in the nose, is that Neymar really does, in that long tradition of Brazilians, fancy the Ballon d'Or as something of serious note.
Big fish.
As you know, from 1994, like 7 of 9 winners were Brazilian. I should have, again, as ever, prepared a little bit better here. But you had Rivaldo, Ronaldo, as in El Phenom. You had Kaká. So there was a significant number of Brazilian winners, and it's still held with a reverence in that country that it isn't really held elsewhere. And as I was suggesting to you the other day,
he's going to win it.
What's been suggested is that Neymar is seeking a move away from Barcelona with a view to winning the Ballon d'Or because it's more likely that stuff will be won at Barcelona, but the suggestion was made that if Barcelona win stuff, Neymar is obviously going to win the Ballon d'Or. And so what it was suggested was that Neymar wants to move to PSG because to win the Ballon d'Or you have to be the best player on your team, and he just isn't going to be. You can't be the best player in the world if you're not the best player on your team. So you've got to be that. So that's the first thing. And then touching on the second point you just raised, then there's been a couple of viral videos, and I know that it's easy to construct things as you wish, to fit a narrative. This kind of after the fact nonsense. But there have been a couple of videos going around of Suarez appearing to, quite seriously, bully Neymar. So there's been a couple where he's been stood on the ball. The 3 of them, the MSN nonsense, have been stood before a game. And Suarez has just been a bit naughty. And rather than taking it in his stride, Neymar's looked a little bit angered. buy it. And so I do wonder whether there's something in the background of all that, or whether that is just, you know, a fine bit of editing from somebody. So
Neymar's dad.
Well, we won't go down there. We won't go down there for Neymar's dad. So, what do you reckon about that? The Ballon d'Or stuff. Then, do you think there's any weight to that, or do you think that's just a nice story?
No, I think there's too many different angles now coming out about this potential transfer, and he does seem that sort of player. He does seem like when he left Santos, that was one of the most ridiculous sort of rumours and transfers that was going on for. It seemed to go on forever. It seemed to go on for years and years and years, and then he finally moved because there was that whole thing. Brazil didn't want him to leave the country, and then he finally did move, and then you realise he was about 17 or something. It's like, how have I been hearing about this player for so long? Is he going to score? Oh, of course he is. Could he do it in the Premier League?
So you're saying this muddy in the waters for potential?
I think he is going to turn out to be a 27-year-old past his prime already bloated player.
No, not
with
for me.
Lost potential.
It'll surprise you not that I will disagree there.
And his attitude.
I think that is the one thing.
If he wants it, he wants it. Like,
no, I think he's absolutely incredible.
Reminds me of Maradona.
I don't think that's fair, and that's an interesting take.
Or maybe again, he reminds me of that way because the media are constructing it to be like that.
His performances for Brazil and his scoring ratio is absolutely terrifying at his age.
Oh, he used to make that one season with Suarez, him and Messi.
But I mean at international level, you know, that classic thing where a Brazilian will only ever be rated on the international stage. You know, that classic, what more can Lionel Messi do? You know, is he the greatest player of all time? An old folk saying, well, no, because he's not done it with his country, which I personally think is absolute guff. Because international football doesn't mean the same thing that it used to.
No.
You know, there's nobody asking how many fucking Champions Leagues Pele won.
It's a non-argument, isn't it? Is it literally just though a case of at Barca he's one of many?
Quite possibly.
And
which is
at
true.
PSG he will be like the centre. He will be Ronaldo and Messi.
Quite possibly. Whether you think that matters to him or not, it depends. I mean, you can't. I don't know. The boys won pretty much everything already at his age, which is nice. I think it'd be lovely. You know, there's this really strange thing. You know, I think there's a small element of me, and it's just occurred to me now. I wonder whether there's any kind of Ronaldinho stuff as well. The impact that Ronaldinho made at PSG was just something else, you know, when they still absolutely love him. And I don't know, footballers are weird creatures, aren't they? You know, you got that French players saying they want to go because of X, Y and Z.
Or the Spanish army which is building in Chelsea right now.
Yeah, you kind of get on a roll, and I do wonder, and you can see why PSG would do it. Financially, he's meant to be a machine like no other, really. He's young, he's got hair like a foal, he's absolutely incredible as a footballer, and they can afford him. One thing I do want to ask, that's very disappointing.
It's
the boy.
There you go.
Oh, the man, the myth, the maverick. So the one thing I want to add in is, and this came up, I can't remember who, again, it came up from, but there was a date before which, and it was only a couple of days ago, whereby his release clause was actually €50 million cheaper.
Yeah.
And the question would be, if you were going to sign him, surely you would make the savings, even to a uber wealthy sovereign wealth fund backed, you know, like mega club. Yeah. €50 million is not to be sniffed at.
I'm surprised if it is happening. Or say it's just at the rumour stage and there's been talks or whatever. I'm very surprised that there's other clubs that haven't come in. Like United could easily be bidding with them.
So this is the terrifying reality for you now as a Man United fan. Manchester United aren't the team that they were in 1995.
No.
They're not the team they were in 2005. They're not this world-class mega club that
they could afford
players like they could afford him. They absolutely could.
That's what I mean. I don't. This is why I think it's either one of it's not happening at all. He's staying at Barca. It's just in the same way that Ronaldo saying, "No, I don't want to play in Spain anymore because of taxes." It's okay. You'll get a new contract out of it. Shut up. Everyone's happy. Is it just Neymar sort of wanting a little bit of a cuddle like Barcelona, or two? It's PSG there's a lot to it, and he actually has agreed, and he's because I just think if there's a lot of clubs, Man City, Man United, they could afford that release clause.
Yep.
And if they think, oh, hang on a minute, PSG are willing to activate it, then we'll activate it as well. And if the fact they haven't, maybe there's more to it. Maybe they're just like.
Or alternatively, the reason they haven't is because they've already sounded him out and they know he's not interested. They're Manchester. Don't get me wrong. Man City now a massive club. Man United are, a huge club. They're not a mega club anymore. I don't believe. For everything that Lukaku says, they're not in the top.
I think
the top tier of clubs anymore. Whereas Paris and Manchester is fine. Yeah, exactly. Manchester's fine, but it ain't Paris. And I tell you what, if I was a global football star, I could pick anywhere I wanted. Let's be clear. There is a reason, and I know we covered this the other day. There's a reason Dani Alves did what he did.
Yeah, no, it's true. I just think
go and play with Dani Alves again. That's enough for me. I play with Dani Alves.
I think I'm disagreeing with my own point from earlier. I really do. In that, I think if it was now thinking about it, because if it was purely financial, United are. Well, they're the most the most profitable club the biggest club?
Depending on whatever metric you want to suit whatever your own club bias is. Man United
but no, they just came out, didn't they? They're like the richest club in world football. It's ludicrous because they make so much money and they're nowhere near as good as they were. They're nowhere near as good as on the pitch, and we're just basing it on the last few seasons. They're nowhere near as good as Spurs.
Yep.
But financially, they can still break the transfer record with Pogba, Yep. So they could come in and do it again. If he actually wants to leave, if he's interested in leaving.
You're right. I agree. He can do those things, but there was an emotional draw with Paul Pogba for Manchester United, like that classic unfinished business stuff that doesn't exist with Neymar. And I genuinely think that in a way that, and again, it'll come back to Man United and Arsenal like it does every week, but as an Arsenal fan, there's a point at which you remember that we're not the draw that we used to be. We haven't won the league since, some of the reserve players were born. And that kind of guff. And I just think that there is now a point where Manchester United are almost, and I say this, with tongue firmly in my cheek, where there's almost the Liverpool about them.
Yeah.
For certain clubs, you think, oh, why wouldn't X, Y, and Z? And you get this with friends, who are Liverpool fans. Why wouldn't they want to join? It's like, well, because they're not playing with Souness and people like that anymore. Like Liverpool, the Liverpool of old that you remember aren't the Liverpool of today, and I think Manchester United potentially are getting towards that. At least I fucking hope so.
On certainly on the Manchester United Twitter side of things, they certainly are getting
wow.
I'm going to
have you unleashed
the Andy Tatersphere, as they call it.
I don't think it's ever been used on the Calhoun Review live podcast so far, but the bulk of Man United fans on Twitter are fucking cunts. They really are.
That's a strong word.
It is, because it happens because they just have this thing of we're the biggest club in the world. Okay, you might be, we are financially or whatever, we compete, we're massive, but then also Nottingham Forest have won 2 Champions Leagues, so history only counts for something. Villa, look at Villa. Villa have got more European Cups than
Arsenal.
Spurs.
They have. But Arsenal are better because they've never had John Terry as their captain.
He's
a leader of men.
I nearly suggested we play Villa versus Leicester.
I'd play that.
Yeah.
I've selected my goalkeeper again there. Just that wasn't a show-off tactic, everybody. That's disappointing. I'm going to get booked, which I wanted to do. The classic Sergio Busquets.
Messi.
Yeah. He's absolutely lured me in there, hasn't he? He's chummed the water. and I've nibbled. Didn't need to.
Neymar in Paris as well. Bringing it back to what
a song?
We're sort of, yeah.
That's a Woody Allen film. It's where it was half based on the adventures of Gary Sparrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's actually Brazilian Wunderkin.
Game's on, yeah, game on.
Goes back to if anyone cares about the FIFA.
Yeah, Midnight in Paris was based on Goodnight Sweetheart.
Yeah, which was actually
Nicholas
based
Lynn
on. Yeah, exactly.
Neymar. Just trying to bring
no
it
one
back
cares about
slightly.
Neymar. People care about Nicholas Lyndhurst and Gary Sparrow.
If he signs for PSG, could that be the spark? Like,
Nope.
Again, right?
Nope.
In the French league.
Nope.
Could that be it? Seeing him because you got Cavani, you got Falcao again, who hasn't got the name that he did have. Well, he's got the same.
He's got the same name. He hasn't changed it.
He hasn't changed it. He's changed his age.
Oh, you don't mean literally there? Okay.
But that's one hell of a signing if they get him.
Yeah, and that's for one club. And the question to you will be, right, who's going to go, oh, do you know what? Fucking yeah, I'm going to sign for Metz now.
Yeah.
Because that's not how that works. There is... Yeah, French football is grand. And the best thing that could have happened to French football was Monaco get back to where they were. And
but now they've done a Southampton, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? And just flogged them all. It's...
Looking at the numbers, I don't think they've flogged anybody. They've done reasonably well out of it, and we'll get onto them in a bit probably. But they're turning down bids for X, Y, and Z, and they're reporting people. They're reporting people left, right, and centre now.
Oh, they've reported a number of clubs, haven't they?
Well,
apparently.
Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
What game was it? Yeah, well, we haven't got Man City.
No, it's fine.
On there, so
no. Okay, so Monaco have reported or have threatened, released a statement anyway, where they've threatened gently to report specific clubs over their conduct.
Tapping
with regards to Kylian Mbappe, and again, it'll surprise you not that there's an Arsenal tilt on it because of my bias, but it relates to Article 18 and Article 22, and I can't remember which it is. He's going to hit that first time because he's Cavani.
Oh!
I tell you what, Fred Truman, he would have had that. And so, what's interesting, Brian Swanson has tweeted that, and this is obviously again going to work towards my bias, that it actually it relates to Man City and another Premier League club, but not Arsenal, which is really interesting because it's been widely reported that Wenger has met the family a number of times, and so if that doesn't count as tapping up, there would be a suggestion there that either Monaco have given some kind of permission for that conversation to happen, or Mr. Wenger, playing the classy Arsenal card, has tried to go about it in a way that, in a kind of way that just about circumvents the rules. As that no rules were broken, but rules were bent.
Ironic that I called them Southampton, and they've also reported close to tapping up as well. Considering
exactly.
Just
that was is that the Dick Van Dyke stuff?
It is. Interrupting the stream. We've actually had questions.
Well, these people need to go home.
Sean is watching us.
Who's Sean?
Sean, my mate. He's a good lad.
Out of 10?
Thoughts out of 10?
Yeah.
He's a solid 8.
Solid 8?
Solid 8. I mean, these questions could move him up to an 8.5. Thoughts on Morata heading to Chelsea? Is he the replacement of Costa, who looks likely to leave?
Well, hang on a minute.
Bridge?
I mean, is he sending in questions, or does he want to run the show?
Do we all rate Morata?
Maybe he wants to set up his own podcast.
Who rates Morata?
That's what I'm saying.
Morata, I rate Morata.
Right, let's do it then. So it'll surprise nobody that's followed us that I'm going to bring up Ted Knutson.
Love him.
So StatsBomb, get involved on that if you want to look at stats in a real way rather than just...
StatsBomb podcast.
Yeah, one of the best podcasts out there. Probably the second best podcast I know of. Not this one being the first, by the way. That would be ridiculous. And he wrote an article in 2014 that he's retweeted the last couple of days, in fact, about Morata and just how good he is. I think he actually calls him the best player in Europe. You've pressed the wrong buttons. You do it every time when you press. You know that there's a reason why I'm controller 1. that he was and probably is the best player, the best young
pound.
player, pound for pound,
in
Europe. His output is.
Costa's definitely gone, isn't he?
Really
Costa's
good.
definitely gone. There's no keeping him.
We saw the video dancing around.
He was dancing.
He had some drinks, probably some women.
He probably had some women. But yeah, I think Morata at Chelsea, and it's just saying the obvious thing. So Morata at Chelsea is going to be good. He said the classic. He said that he's not Batshuayi though. He said the good lines about obviously having he wants to work with Conte, who gave him a big chance. It was being a big influence on him in the past, which is really good. So I think he's going to be an excellent forward. There's a really nice bit of work. What am I doing here? I'm going AC Milan.
You've got
or Milan, as James Richardson from the Pink Paper likes to call him. I think he's an absolutely fabulous player. There was an interesting comparison that people were trying to make between Lukaku and Morata, and as others have said, this is going to be an ongoing bit of nonsense. Can we play in classic kits?
Yeah.
If you go to your classic kit, I think that'll be
okay. So I hope that sums up Morata.
I don't think it does. I don't think we even got halfway through there. I reckon it'll be an interesting season.
Is that a clash?
Yeah, almost certainly.
Saying that,
so you chose it anyway.
Yeah. Back.
You did the opposite of what we just said. So I actually think that Morata will be a very, very good player at Chelsea.
I don't think he offers. Obviously, he's not going to offer what Costa's brought, because I think Costa's game is highly varied. I think he's a very tactful forward for what he does when he does a job. It's very different forward. So if he can adapt to that, that's a different thing altogether.
His output is really interesting, Morata. He sets up many, many more goals. Really interestingly, actually, his goals per 90 minutes, etc., over his career isn't as frightening as you'd imagine, but he's young. He hasn't played as a central figure in a team for a while. And
he's got that FIFA chemistry line between a few of his...
And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Building up your FIFA Ultimate Team chemistry.
Yeah.
So one thing I do want to add in, and this is changing the subject slightly but still sticking on the same topic really, a bit of the question, is, and I haven't seen anybody talk about this, I can't remember a season whereby so many of the top clubs have got strikers that need to be integrated. So let's go top to bottom.
Hang on, can I just...
Can I stop you there?
Can I throw a question in, because it sort of relates?
Go on then.
That someone's asked. Sean again.
Two questions.
He's picking 3 strikers in a dream team, which I know you are a fan of.
I hate fantasy football.
But it's sort of I was
bingo for men.
Point in that you've got United, you've got Chelsea, you've got even City to a certain extent with Jesus.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Lacazette.
We've got
Lacazette. Yeah.
We've got the Holy Father, the love and the light, Jesus at Man City, leading the line potentially there with Aguero, and I know we'll get onto that in a little while. We've got Lacazette at Arsenal, we've got Lukaku at Manchester United, and we've got let's say now that we have got your Morata at Chelsea.
It's gonna happen.
I can't remember a season whereby so many of the top teams have got new forwards to integrate into their teams. And the second point to that is, not only is that the case, what does that actually mean for Golden Boot? And the smart money for me is on Harry Kane. There's no additional
invite all those people.
Sure. There's no additional signings at Tottenham, but in terms of a settled player at a settled system, the good money, and the bookies will tell you this, the good money will be on Harry Kane becoming the forward. And I think this season will actually be, more than almost any, determined by which of the centre forwards from the big teams just turns up, knuckles down and starts scoring a bag load of goals early doors.
If it's fantasy though, do you go 3 big strikers?
Right.
Is that what Sean's
my
thinking?
3 strikers at the moment are Aguero, Lukaku and Firmino, who's been reclassified as a striker in this year's game.
That's justified.
Captain technicalities.
I do want Kane, but it's his famous slow start to a season. Which
it is. What's his price?
Kane is the most expensive. He's 12.5. I've gone Lukaku, but I think I'm going to change it because the bastard
12.5. You can't get Kieran Gibbs in the real world for 12.5.
Yeah, Phil Jones. If
is that West Brom? Has that happened? That has happened.
I've got no idea.
West Bromwich. Do you sign Gibbo?
Would I sign Kieran Gibbs if I was West Brom? Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think he's.
Well, they had. Is it Naum? It is, isn't it? Is that how it's pronounced?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was he at right back or left back? But because I went to West Brom last season.
He played left back in.
And he's not.
Right,
he's not.
You saw Ibra play.
I saw Man United versus West Brom at the Hawthorns, and I saw Ibra score twice.
Christ.
And I saw it in the West Brom end, and I couldn't celebrate. The only time I could get involved in anything the United fans were chanting was when Fletcher came on, and I could chant Darren Fletcher football genius and not get the shit kicked out of me by the 10 lads behind.
But you should have for chanting Darren Fletcher football genius, because
he almost died.
Well, the problem with Darren Fletcher is he didn't have the stomach for the fight.
Yeah, it's true.
Right, can I stop you there?
You stop us.
Right then, we need to move on to AC Milan's marching Roman army here.
Right, we need a list.
AC Milan's marching Roman army. We're going with that.
Yeah, can we get a list of their summer signings?
Okay, let's start.
We haven't got time. This is only going to be enough.
Someone's done a Vince McMahon.
The walking into the room. Yeah.
No, it's also done the reaction one of when it shows AC Milan's transfers.
Oh, lovely! Not his walking down to the boardwalk, because that's one of my favourite ones.
Yeah, you could do that.
That's the Hold My Beer thing.
Yeah.
When the one where he's in the ring and
in the chair,
and he collapses.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's good.
So Bonucci, you could start off.
Bonucci, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart.
So we got to the bottom of that last week. We speculated that it was about family, and it transpired that is exactly it. His son, and we don't want to spend too long on it because it is fairly intrusive, but apparently his son is ill there, which is one of the reasons why they want to stay. I didn't read about why because I'm not interested to find out, kind of a diagnosis or what have you. But apparently his son is ill, and that's a huge factor in why you wish to stay in Italy. So that's happened. He's staying in Italy. An incredible signing. Still,
why would he move?
Still big money. Well, we know why he moved. He had a couple of arguments with Allegri throughout the season, and despite them playing it down, there was an argument in the dressing room in the Champions League final. Lines were drawn. Apparently, there was some stern words said. Then Allegri actually stepped in to try and calm it down a little bit, and rumour has it that Bonucci just wouldn't let it go. Just wouldn't let it go in the move, which I can completely understand because I'm like a dog with a bone with things. He wouldn't let it go, and there were some words said, and there were also suggestions as to that is why. And again, this might be an after the fact thing, but why the second half was such a sombre performance, because there really was a bit of dressing room unrest that's been simmering all season, and you would hope wouldn't rear its head at the second half of the Champions League final, but it did.
Italian clubs don't like Champions League finals, do they? Recently,
they like fucking getting to them, though, don't they?
They love getting to them. They just can't win, the bastards.
Chanaloglu.
Oh, don't. You know my feelings about Hakan. Anyone that can score a 90-yard free kick, not 90, strike. He actually scored a 45-yard free kick.
17 million.
Yeah. Hakan Çalhanoğlu.
What's happening on the old Facebook?
Who else have we got? There's Colin.
You haven't even invited everyone. I gave him one job.
You gave him 2 jobs, in fact.
It's an endless list.
It's just people.
Who else has been signed?
I got busy. Fingers in pies. Right, 17
no, you're not even playing FIFA now, and that was your primary job.
Right, no, that was.
Who else has joined?
Matteo who is it? Mustasio.
Oh, Mustachio. Yeah. He's an excellent footballer.
He looks mean. 15.5 million. Solid centre back.
They've done some the value as well as some of their transfers has been phenomenal.
I'm going to disagree with you there. the value. What you're doing, and I think fundamentally I agree with you, but the difference that I have is that when you say value, is that's because you're comparing them with like Jordan Pickford and stuff. For Italian prices, and this is what I was actually going to say about Bonucci, for Italian players moving in Italy, the Bonucci was 30 odd million. So that's a lot of money for an Italy. If we have to go back to, you've got to go back to the Parma days and the Lazio days, really, for there to be huge money for that. I think 17 million for Çalhanoğlu, buying from a German club is probably fair.
Yeah. Rodriguez 15 million.
If he'd have joined Arsenal for 15 million, as was suggested, and you've known. So I talked to you about 8 years ago about my man crush on this young kid, and he grew up into quite a man.
Okay, they bought Borini. It's worth a punt. 4.8 million.
For 4.8 million. There's been a load of stuff again on Twitter about how the hell does he continue. Have you seen the clubs that he's played for, Fabio Borini?
Yeah,
have a look at get his Wikipedia page up and have a look at the clubs that boy has played for in terms of prestige.
Should do a Wikipedia.
Oh, that was a stunner, to be fair.
I'm going to try and play that one down. Just turn away. Just scratch my shoulder blade.
Okay, how old is Borini?
25.
25.
My Facebook has just stopped working.
So,
have we got a iPhone cable in this room currently?
Have we?
Oh, that's the one failure.
Do you know what
we have?
We don't. I don't
26.
He's 26
years of age. Okay, right then. So, should we go through?
Through his clubs because they're absurd.
Okay. Do you want to go through youth career into?
No.
Okay.
No one cares about his youth career.
Chelsea.
We had this.
He's played for Chelsea, right? Okay, so
Swansea.
I forgot he played for
Parma.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Roma. Liverpool.
Yeah.
Sunderland.
Yeah.
Then Milan.
Do those again slowly. So we could
Chelsea.
just. Right. Okay. So they've won a couple of. They've won Champions League.
2009, 2011. That was a good pomp.
That's incredible.
Cool. Swansea on loan, only 9 games, but he scored 6 goals.
Yeah, he did. He had a good spell there.
Parma.
But that was under Brendan Rodgers, wasn't it?
Probably.
Beautiful man.
Beautiful boy.
Beautiful boy. Kind soul.
Fabio Borini was actually the name in the third envelope. That's a little known Fabio Borini fact.
He got loaned out from Parma. He didn't score, obviously. Went to Roma, 24 appearances. How many goals did he score?
4.
3.
9.
9.
Is that no in German? Or?
9. 9. Liverpool, in 25 appearances, how many did he score?
Twice. In
correct.
League Cups?
Twice too, that's correct, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're both in a League Cup, and God knows why I know that.
Got himself back on track with Sunderland.
Alan Partridge.
Back on track. 82 appearances overall, including the loan thing.
Yeah.
How many did he score?
14.
14 correct. Bang on.
I promise you I haven't researched Fabio Borini.
He definitely hasn't researched
I promise you I haven't.
He thinks he's a beautiful man.
I do like Fabio Borini though. I mean, in the way that I think
that's worth a
I don't want him in my club.
None of us research the things we know we're going to talk about. We're certainly
to be fair, yeah, exactly. I can't research the things that I don't know I'm talking about.
Lucas Biglia. Another one.
Like him.
Yeah.
17 milli.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where did they sign him from?
It was Lazio, wasn't it?
It is Lazio, yeah.
It is Lazio.
You said this last week, in the Italian clubs they love selling to each other, don't they?
It's a closed shop. It has been for a long while, and I actually like that. I've said before about you look at Clarence Seedorf and the clubs that he played for. Kaka played for a couple of clubs as well. I think it's lovely.
The Parma scenario.
Yeah, he's still
he's
still Orlando. Is he at Orlando Pirates or whatever they're called? I genuinely couldn't give a fuck about American soccer.
Well, you
really
even
Galaxy. LA Galaxy.
Yeah, you won't be saying that.
When David Beecham was playing.
Well, that's exactly it. No, I quite like that, and I do like watching Bradley Wright Phillips when he played up front with Thierry Henry, which is one of the weirdest things in my life. That was because as an Arsenal fan, there's a lot of interest there because obviously Bradley Wright is the son of goal legend Ian Wright and playing up front with Thierry Henry. I don't imagine that his career turned out like that when he went into when he went over to the States.
Andrea Conti,
good footballer.
What was
8 million?
8 million.
Yeah, see that's what I'm talking about when you talk about value.
Yeah, it just seems like I think you are right because I was literally just going to say it seems the opposite of Everton because I saw and I went. I saw an article saying that Everton had won this transfer window, and I read it twice because I could only see the only reason they were saying this is because they've signed a lot of players.
Yeah, of course it is. But that's how that's the Jim Whiteification of the transfer window, isn't it?
They've won it because they've signed these players. And I was like, well, what? How does that work? Again, it's Spurs, AVB.
I don't know too much about Frank Kessie.
No, I've not seen him play an
17
awful lot at all.
At Atlanta, he was at.
Yeah, he was at Atalanta, but again, that was on a weird part ownership thing. I think I saw. Did I see him play twice last season? Maybe I did. I think they took an absolute spanking from Roma, and I watched it because I think it might have been even more. It might have been one of the games where Zacco was doing what Zacco should do every game. Yeah, who else have they bought?
Andre Silva.
Andre Silva from Porto.
19.5 mil, really.
Again, I think that's interesting. The interesting angle there for me, I think, is probably the low value of that signing, because Porto were in financial difficulties, as we know. We can talk about Ruben Neves again if we want to. So they had to get him off his books for financial fair play. Clearly, Andre Silva as well. There will almost certainly be a buyback clause in there because he was he their captain last season?
I'll find out.
Quite possibly.
Another one which I didn't mention: Antonio Donnarumma. 1 million.
Signing his contract.
Think so.
That's what they're suggesting.
To smooth out his brother's contract.
He's
a goalkeeper.
He is a goalkeeper. Yeah, yeah. So Donnarumma, after the initial panic of him potentially going away, has signed a contract. Now, go on, let's do the AVB stuff then. Let's talk about Everton and AC Milan and what we think that actually means. Wenger's talked in the past about more than 4 signings into a team.
It can disrupt the team. Well, that's what I'm basing that on. Fuck all inside knowledge, just based on what I've seen.
Oh, you've not been down at Carrington much, have you?
No,
not as much as you used to. Not as much as you used to. Talking to Eric Black. He's a person, isn't he?
He might be. I don't know.
I think he was. I think Eric Black was one of your lot that the Nevilles used to bang on about being good behind the scenes.
Or was it Harrison?
No, we're talking about Neville. We're talking about Eric Black. Go on anyway.
Black.
Sorry,
but yeah, I just think a lot. Everton have bought, when you look at their team, I mean, I don't think, even though Pickford's, everyone said about the fee, and it is a lot of money, but if he's, it's a podcast Skinner sent me actually, he says it, in that if you think you're paying for your number one goalkeeper for the next few seasons, it's probably quite good value.
It's that line, again, where...
And he's English.
In terms of value, goalkeepers have been hugely undervalued as an impact on a team for forever. You can pay silly money on a backup striker that is many times and we're talking kind of like multiples of what you'd pay for a world-class goalkeeper. Outside of Gigi Buffon and his massive fee from Parma to Juve, name me another big goalkeeper move.
Yeah,
there just hasn't been one.
Even De Gea at the time when he was young.
What did he go for?
He was about 21 million, I want to say.
That. He was rebuilt.
Can you look that up? Can we find out how much De Gea signed for?
De Gea, of course.
But I want to say about 20 mil, around that. Maybe like one of those 19.7 or something like that. But again, he was. They were signing
like 17 and a half. Let me just check.
I'm toying with you now. Sorry. If anybody's concerned about my FIFA standards, I'm just taking the piss now.
I don't like this team. I genuinely prefer going Bournemouth.
That's because you like Nathan Ake.
17.8 million.
Is this control? I'm going to sound ridiculous now, but is this controller slightly unresponsive?
Nope.
That sounds really bad.
That sounds.
I've made myself look a right.
You're like Joe Mangle, blaming his tools.
I don't know if there's any straws to grasp that.
There you go, tackle.
It's not responsive.
Is the controller responsive?
You've been playing with 2 button.
Yeah, that's the problem. You've had it on 2 button. You've had it on the kids setting.
Joe fucking Mangle.
Yes, like Joe Mangle blaming his tools. Didn't blame his tools when Bouncer died, did he? So, but you didn't think you were going to have a Bouncer reference this evening?
Right then.
Yeah, I could have scored there again, everybody. If you're watching on FIFA thinking, why is he not just burying all this stuff?
I think they were wondering that.
I was.
Have we heard anything from Andrew? I like my regulars.
Do you know
Is
what?
he text?
I have messaged him because he wasn't live. I don't know if he can. What's the Facebook?
No.
Is he not? Is he not there? It's disappointing.
Has he texted you?
No, not that I can see.
Lukaku, 11.5 million on fantasy.
Yeah, he's good value, but he's burned me before.
He scored an inordinate number of goals for a player his age. Interesting comparisons with because of the age thing. It works 2 ways, doesn't it? Obviously, you do the one where you're buying an incredibly young forward who's got, to be fair, a proven track record of scoring goals at a not great Everton.
No.
And then you've got the second part of it where you have the Michael Owen comparison, whereby you see his goal records 98, 99 goals in 128 games for Liverpool pre the age of 24, and then I can't remember the second part of that stat, which kind of makes that pointless, but the number of goals he scored after his 24th birthday was staggeringly low in comparison with the previous iteration. No, you have that.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, let's see now. You take the responsibility, and Skinner can move up, and I'll get out of the way.
Oh my!
I'll get out of the way.
Oh my! Would you like to be Man United or Inter Milan?
Oh,
It's up to you.
He's got to go Manchester United because it's lovely when you beat him at Manchester United. He hates
He's
it.
been drawn into it. Been taken in like a trouser too wide. Oh, that's 5.
He really has. It was fun. Can we have a look at? Hang on. Whoa! Let's have a look at the player ratings. Some of the player ratings there. Come on.
Backer destroyed.
Andrew has texted me saying he's busy at the moment, but he will be joining us soon.
Well, what we should have done there, really, if we were professionals, we should have waited till Andrew was free.
Yeah.
What you need to do is you need to nurture your audience. Can you apologise to Andrew from me?
I will. I'm just sending out some links again.
Of course you are.
So we are heading on to Man United Inter.
And why are we doing Man United Inter?
Why are we doing Man United Inter? Well, I'll tell you now. There's a whole host of things. What's this Darmian switch?
Yeah, right. ESPN released. Right, obviously we're talking about now. I can't pronounce his name, so Skinner, you're gonna have to do it.
Ooh,
Perisic.
Perisic.
There you go. Right.
Fantastic.
It's like Periscope, but with a C on the end.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's gonna be easier.
Beautiful. Man.
There's talk, and ESPN released an article saying that let's get Rooney outside.
Oh, boo.
Saying that Darmian was going to go in the opposite direction.
Has he played left back down there as well?
Yeah,
They've bunted him over on left back.
Just sticking him wherever.
Was he not signed as a right back?
Yeah. He played there a lot last season because it's just there's no belief in Luke Shaw. It doesn't seem.
He has to earn it.
He has to play.
Luke Shaw
is this. But yeah, there was talk. They said that he was going to. That Darmian's going to go in the opposite direction.
Is this a real thing or is this a Football Manager? Because as we know, swap deals never happen.
No, not since Keith Gillespie went to Newcastle as part of the Andy Cole deal.
Exactly.
They never come through, do they? Swap
Anybody that's under 30, Keith Gillespie was the Irish proto Ryan Giggs.
Yeah.
And that's not me being sarcastic. He ran like a greyhound. He was absolutely incredible. As if you don't know who Keith Gillespie is. But he's...
I've seen him run like a greyhound.
He was absolutely fabulous. Long sleeves. He's, one of those players that are really formative in your life. Keith Gillespie. So when Ryan Giggs used to hold his sleeves as well when he was really young.
Yeah.
Do you remember that thing?
Keith Gillespie, a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, Keith Gillespie used to do exactly the same thing, where he used to hold his sleeves, and I've got memories of the round-necked Newcastle kit they've got with Keith Gillespie holding his arms down and just running like a greyhound, like an absolute stick-thin
Him and Andy fucking Impey in my sticker book.
Andy Impey.
So many Andy Impeys.
What do you got in your fantasy football team
John
back in the
Solarco as well.
Handsome bloody John Solarco. Oh Christ, Crystal Palace's finest. I don't want to comment on the quality of the game just yet, but I am going
It's
to
2
comment
minutes
on the
in.
quality of the game.
Lording it over everyone. So
yeah, but I can't.
So do you think that Damian
swap deal?
I don't get it.
We need to Google that.
Look, when's the last swap deal which actually come through?
That's what he says. That's
the only one that I can think of.
I'm going to actually see the last swap deal. The thing about swap deals is you're getting rid of one of your most potent attacking outputs with Perisic as Inter Milan. If you're swapping, and I know you're getting some money, why would you take a left/right back though, and then reduce the amount of money that you had to go out and buy the replacement for Perisic? Surely you just want all of the money to go back into your Perisic pot.
Right.
Perisic pot.
Is Damian being Italian, an Italian international?
He is.
Oh yeah, of course.
Does that make it better?
But I just don't see how that makes.
But in the same way that Pickford, again, he's English. He's there's that English clubs buy English players as a premium on them. Is that the same in other nations, basically?
I'm not sure.
Do we reckon?
I'm not sure, maybe, but I still don't see how that would translate to Damian. I know what you say. Like he is very, very good. He's still really well rated. He was scouted incredibly intensively for Manchester United. It just didn't work out in the way that Jose, and I'm biased because I dislike the man, but in the way that lots of signings don't work out for Jose Mourinho. You're either a Didier Drogba, a John Terry, or a Frank Lampard, or you're a Luke Shaw, a Damian. And there have been countless others as well. I'm not. He's not Milito, is it?
Was he a Mourinho signing though?
No, but I didn't mean as a direct signing. What I mean is that a player that either Mourinho really loves and gets behind, or there was no need to pass there.
He wasn't supposed to go.
Was that Eva Banega?
Yeah.
Top tip for you, anybody that's watching, Eva Banega actually looks like a 5-foot version of Alexander Skinner on this game, so let's hope we get a close-up of... He looks like a cross between Naboo from Mighty Boosh and Alexander Daniel Skinner. Alexi, this guy here, this bloody handsome chap.
This
chump. So, I'm not convinced on a Damian thing. That's not to say that he won't go to Inter. I would be surprised if there was any kind of swap bit. So let's get on to the meat of the supper here. Perisic going to Manchester United. What have you got to say about that, Luke?
Perisic, come on.
Yeah, I know it.
Tried, tested.
I just really want us to sign a defensive midfielder.
How old are you?
Shit. I'm done. Oh,
Handanovic.
I just really want to.
Hando.
As much as I was excited, genuinely now, I was excited about the Lukaku deal because I thought, he's young and Jose likes those bully forwards, Milito and obviously Drogba. But part of me was just like, I'm excited, but I kind of wish it was Matic. Because we really need a central midfielder who can allow Pogba to stop playing in this deep lying role, because he's been playing there in the pre-season as well.
Yep.
He's been playing so deep, and you're just wasting much of what makes him the player that he is.
Is that not to give him time on the ball though? Because you know what the Premier League is like in terms of with the proliferation of gegenpress or variations of full team presses depending on who your manager is. So you've got full pitch half court press. You've got your Perisic. You've got your gegenpress. You've got your whatever the Dutch 1972 full team rush was. Is that a way Paul Pogba with even a few seconds of time on the ball is a completely different player to a rushed Paul Pogba? And do you think that maybe that slightly deeper role that he's been given is as a way of buying him that time so he can just completely dictate play? Or not?
I think that's the aim. I think, that's what he wants. But he's not... I don't think he's suited to it, not yet. I really don't. I don't...
We said it before, Paul Pogba looked at his best, and it'll be no surprise, but he had Pirlo sat behind him, and he had Arturo Vidal for the legs, and he wasn't bumped out, that's not fair, that's revisionist as well. He was out on the left-hand side doing whatever the darn hell he wanted. And now it's interesting whether that is something that he'll ever be able to do again, or whether he'll try and be this Dembele, Tottenham's Moussa Dembele.
That's what Perisic does.
That leggy. You're absolutely right. If you're wondering, if you've never seen or you've not seen Perisic do an awful lot,
that's exactly what he
does.
He's good, but
he'll get down the left, he'll cross. His crossing is outrageous.
You saying about Vidal and Pirlo, I don't think... I'm not saying it's the same level or whatever, but Herrera and Pogba, I love that midfield partnership.
So who's the third party in that, though?
I think we got him. Well, we do. We have Carrick, but he can't play a full season. He just hasn't got the legs anymore. On his day, he's superb and he does the job well, but he's not going to be able to play week in, week out. Or if he will, they'll have to do what Chelsea did with Pedro, which seems to be sub him every single 61 minutes.
61 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to say 76 minutes or 61 minutes. So what are we thinking? We're thinking, and this is again slightly reductive, and we are better than this, but we're going to do it anyway. So Carrick will be your Pirlo, Herrera will be your
Vidal.
And that's the problem. Herrera isn't your Vidal. He's not all action. He's a fabulous footballer. He's a filthy little cunt, but he's very, very good. He'd be my favourite player if I was a Man United fan.
I love him. I do love him. I also, and it's not...
And Pogba's Pogba. Okay, that's interesting.
Again, it's going to sound ridiculous, but I do... I'm quite fond of Fellaini. I am quite fond of it.
Soft spot.
I think it's...
Which is fine, because Fellaini will find that soft spot with the corner of his elbow after about 15 minutes.
I think he's an easy target, I really do, because he's had...
Because he elbows people in the face and he's a prick. That's why he's made himself an easy target by continually fouling people and getting away with it.
He is an easy target though for when United play badly.
Yeah, that's your classic Aaron Ramsey lightning rod there.
Yeah, it was Gareth Bale before,
Yeah,
but it just seems to be this thing.
Please do it. We were absolutely... There he is. There's Naboo Skinner. If he turns around now, we're only seeing the back of him. I promise you, the front of him looks exactly like Naboo.
But yeah, Fellaini, the Europa League final, I thought he was superb. He's played a lot of really good games. And again, he's another player that when he was signed, like we're finding now with Pogba, is that he was signed and he was asked to do something in a position which he wasn't used to playing. At Everton, Fellaini played as a number 10.
Cardiff City's Gary Medal, we're just going to touch on that. A player not good enough necessarily for Cardiff City, but walked into the international
he's
team.
Good enough. He's legendary at
and won a pair of Copa Americas.
Yeah, was it
back.
more...
he was good enough.
Was it just...
Well, we know he's good enough. This is the classic Mascherano and Tevez at West Ham. Uncle Alan Pards didn't think they were good enough to get in the team there. It's weird.
He would know.
And Uncle Al would know. I fucking hate Alan Pards, you.
Big Sam or Alan?
What? Who would I rather fight?
No, if you got signed for... If
I
they both come in for you.
But I wouldn't, because I'm a spiteful man of principle. I would give up professional football. I play for.
Imagine you're like 22, you're coasting along, you got a nice little career, and then all of a sudden, right, Pardew and Big Sam come in for you, and you just fucking retire.
I wouldn't retire, but I'd go and play for Newport County, or I'd go and play for Forest Green Rovers or something, like probably Forest Green. because I love the technology that they're going down there. They're an incredible club.
Are they vegan as well?
Yeah. Full vegan club. Solar
really?
panels on the using animals to during the off season to graze on the pitch.
Talking about animals, can I just jump in there and say that my mate John Chichester is now watching us. Chich.
Yes.
Who's one of my best mates.
Why is he called Chich?
His name's John Chichester.
Was his nickname given to him by John Terry?
I'm not.
Foods, lamps,
I don't want to say no.
Dave.
I don't want to say no because I don't know. However,
Chich.
his favourite player of all time, and not even in an ironic, is Sean Goater.
Okay.
And he's now
feed him.
He's now just if feed him and he will score.
He will
his last
score.
comment. He will score.
He will score.
He literally the
score.
entire live stream is him. Feed the goat, and goat emojis. That's. So I wanted to say.
The problem with that chant, as with lots of chants, is it's not true. Sean Goat, I've watched whole compilations that are on YouTube of Sean Goat being fed and not scoring.
At Southend, he was lethal, and that was towards the end of his career.
He was.
I remember we went to. Oh no, I can't just let you telling anecdotes about holidays and church. No.
Yeah, go on. People are crying out for you. Did you go to Chichester?
No, well, we should have.
Well, that's a waste.
It's always time.
What about Winchester?
We're not retiring to Forest Green yet.
Big Sam, Alan Pards, I'm going to Forest Green.
I'm going to Forest Green.
Right,
I'm going
Big
to
Sam.
Newport County.
No, we can't talk Big Sam, we're talking United.
We're talking about Chicho a minute ago. This podcast lacks direction, says iTunes review.
Right, at United, let's bring it back to United then.
Please, we haven't spoken about him yet tonight.
Who is going to miss out if we get him, if we bring him in? Periscope. If we bring in
Periscope,
right? If United bring in Periscope,
Das Boot.
Periscope.
Obviously, he's going to sign a Das Boots contract. Yeah.
Who's going to miss out in that start?
If you sign him in winter, it's going to be the hunt for Red October. Surely with Perisic. Who's he gonna replace?
Well, yeah, because you've got
hopefully Anthony Martial, isn't it? Because I think he's actually a very good footballer, not hidden, but in there. And I would really, really like the rumours of Arsenal wanting to have a little sniff to be true.
Another reason why even though we signed Lukaku, I'm not going to moan because he's obviously very, very good, and he scores a lot of goals, has done. But part of me, I said in previous episodes, I didn't want us to sign a striker. Part of me, I wanted to just purely defensive midfielder, centre back, and let Rashford and Martial be the strikers next season. You've got Mata, you've got Mkhitaryan, you've got we did have Rooney, but you've got a lot of youth team players coming through as well. I say a lot. I don't think that it was a side that was calling out for a striker, to be fair. I know we didn't put away a lot of chances last season.
Maybe you move to sort of stop maybe Chelsea.
It could be.
That's a volume of speech which I don't think is even going to get picked up by a microphone. Are we doing a silent... That's like a French mime podcast.
A potentially devil's advocate sort of thing? Because I just thought they were just doing... I thought it was a spike transfer, first of all.
I know I'm saying that we didn't... That I wouldn't necessarily think that we would... a striker wouldn't have been my first choice, but then you look at all the 0-0s last season. And
many 0-0s.
The game, was it the whole game where there was something like 28 shots?
Well, and you also look at the fact that Zlatan hasn't signed a contract because of injury. So not only did you not score goals last season, the guy who did inevitably score all of your goals is not fit and not actually on a contract at your club.
No. Even though there's talk that he's turned down Galaxy.
Well, you'd fucking hope so. Turning down Galaxy would be the most Zlatan thing to do, though, because I just don't want to see him go to the States. I get that there's a place for some people going out there, but the point is Zlatan is that he goes and he's just done his own thing forever, and so obviously joining Galaxy would be the thing that Zlatan would do. So the thing that Zlatan should do is not do that. Sign another year at Man United, play half a season, score 24 goals.
Well, there's talk that...
but you're not going to win a league there. That's the problem.
They're going to... there's talk he's going to stay, but also past this upcoming season. So there's talk that they want to sign him on he's going to sign a 2-year deal.
Well, that's how you snag him.
If the first season he plays a certain amount of minutes or something, I believe.
If I was playing, and I don't mean your fantasy football, I mean fantasy football as in just football in the fantasy realm. The signing that I would make if I was Diego Simeone would be shack off Costa, get Zlatan.
Yeah.
I think Zlatan back in Spain with a chip on his shoulder, proving a point against Messi and Ronaldo to be top goal scorer in that setup. I think he would absolutely ruin teams. I think you could still have Griezmann playing off him. I think that you would do all sorts of damage in that league. Not end match. You've done it again, haven't you?
Well, I did not do nothing.
No, I've ended match.
Pressing buttons. You're pressing buttons. You're writing checks your body can't cash.
Ooh,
we're moving on to the next.
Is this it? We're going to go and play. We're going to play Birmingham City against.
Do you want to play this though?
Galaxy.
You can play this.
Let me play you again because that'll be fun. Let me go in the first in the hot seat over here.
But I got the dodgy control.
I don't. You didn't have the dodgy controller.
No, now I do.
I don't think it was.
You didn't have it last time. You are on 2 button this time though. So let's give it to Dad. I'll sort it out here.
Sort it out.
Give it to Dad. I got you. Right. So I'm going Championship. Birmingham City. I'll do that. What are you doing on there?
I don't know, but look, our video has reached 239 people.
Idiots, all of them. Get a life. You think it's bad enough being on this side of the camera? Imagine sat at home choosing to watch this shit. Go out, read a book. We'll get back to that in a bit. Can we do books now?
Yeah, shall we?
There's Andrew here.
We got to explain.
We got to wait for Andrew. No, I refuse to explain myself. If you weren't here last week, you can do the research.
No.
I saved the fucking stream for a reason. If you're not going to do the background work, I'm not going to slow myself down. This is Britain's problem. We're slowing down for the idiots. I refuse to be held back. No, if you didn't watch last week's episode, don't worry, it's been up there for a week. It is your podcast. Do what
it's ours. It's our podcast.
Your podcast.
It's ours. It's associated.
When it's successful, it'll be our podcast. You know how this works.
The minute.
Again.
What is us playing as Birmingham City?
Exactly. Go on, do the book thing. You're Galaxy.
Right,
Galaxy.
I want to explain we're going Birmingham, LA Galaxy.
Can we do books after that then?
Yes.
Fine.
Just because it was you, wasn't it? You sent me the story that Arry Redknapp, and I've used this proper Arry, wanted to sign Stuart Downing, Ashley Cole, and who's Robbie Keane to Birmingham. He wants to bring him in. Now it's the most Harry Redknapp story outside of, let's bring what's Nico doing?
Yeah, what is Nico
doing?
Roy Keane's not on here. Roy Keane.
I fucking hope not.
Robbie Keane's not on there.
He's not.
He's retired.
Ashley Cole is.
Ashley
Cole's 72.
Yeah, years of age. Ashley Cole, 72. This is a true story. Ashley Cole nearly crashed his car when he saw that he was 72 on FIFA. That isn't true. That's a callback to the slightly infamous. I don't know whether you know this.
What?
He wrote this in his biography.
His wage.
Arsenal offered him 55 grand.
Laughed at it.
And he said, "I nearly crashed my car," which, and I get. To be fair, he was told he was going to be a future captain and what have you, but I think it's lovely. So that was what that joke was a callback to. Nice. He crashed his car when it's 72. So yeah, the joke on Twitter was that Harry Redknapp went on Football Manager, sought player by international appearances, and then just signed British.
Getting the gang back together.
Players, exactly.
Which, in fairness, are now long-running Twitter message conversation. We've now got 3 separate ones.
Have we?
Yeah, there's now 3 separate ones.
We're idiots.
But it seemed to at one point be a case of we'll talk football and we'll talk podcast on this one. Then we'll send each other tweets that have made us laugh. Or interested in. Yeah. And then the third one was just miscellaneous shit.
Fine,
but that hasn't been followed. There's it hasn't been followed because every now and again you read through them and it's like. link. You know.
Are you suggesting that we started off with a plan and we didn't follow it through?
Yeah.
So very much like the
three streams actually makes sense.
They do.
When you
it did seem to be like it was just link to a tweet, right, and then the next one would be right. Oh, next, you know, on the podcast we should talk this,
and then all those hairstyles whilst discussing.
Well, you actually ruined the stream
for the lads
by sending in that his press conference highlights.
So just a quick tactical thing for people here. I put in Christian Bielik because he's an Arsenal player who was on loan and did very, very well at Birmingham City last season. Did brilliantly against Bayern Munich in a difficult game. It might have been yesterday or the day before. At centre back, he played right side of centre back. He was a converted central defensive midfielder. There's high hopes. There's suggestion that the Callum Chambers sale that might happen is partly down to Bielik's rise. So it'll be interesting to see. So that's why I put him in. Wondering why I put in a 61 rated centre back, but that's
I've
why.
just realised something.
What have you realised?
We just played AC Milan versus Bayern Munich, and the reason I suggested putting that in the running order was because of Sanchez.
Oh, Renato Sanchez.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it at all, and I didn't even put him in the side.
Well, let's talk about
the complete.
Right, so I was actually the reason I didn't talk about Sanchez when you were talking about midfielders at Manchester United was because I saw on the running order that was coming up. But to return to that for a minute, if you're talking about your Arturo Vidal, and he's only going to go out on loan, is the suggestion. Although others have said that he has fallen foul because of a bit of a party lifestyle and maybe some police trouble. If I was Manchester United, I would go all out for Renato Sanchez as your Arturo Vidal central midfield player because Bayern Munich signed him as the next Arturo Vidal.
Right, would that in that scenario, we can't talk about United again.
Yeah, we can.
Just quickly, would that then make Herrera the Pirlo?
Yeah, it would have to. And I think that I think he's got it in him. Or you don't just copy that because that might not work in the Premier League. Mourinho knows almost better than anybody to set up a team for in specific ways against specific opponents. Maybe there's no need for that Pirlo role. Maybe you have your Sanchez doing his Sanchez-y things. Maybe you have Pogba doing whatever he wants to do, and then Herrera just being that all-action, busy, bustling, tackling, aggressive midfield player as well. And that's enough. Maybe you don't need anybody dictating the play because you should have, in your dream scenario, when you buy a centre back, you'll have a centre back that can pass the ball and with a bit of range of passing. Pogba can drop in that 3 if needs be. I'd very much go for Sanchez. My Arsenal squad would have 400 players in it. I wouldn't ever sell anybody because I love everybody. But I'd have a little nibble at Sanchez. I think in the Euros, when he came on, he looked very good. Didn't start in a load of the Euros, but and had an awful lot of hype on him. But he was 18 at that tournament. That is young. You can, your Michael and that, but that is young to be getting through to a final of a champion, a European Cup.
Right, shall I just run through the Birmingham signings?
Yeah.
Please do.
Before we move on to Woj.
Right.
The Woj.
Presumably, Ryan Shotton's in there, yeah?
Has Peter Crouch, how long's Peter Crouch got left on his contract? Because
he's just there.
Do you know he's now a DJ? Sorry, I've completely got. He's on Radio X. They've signed, and
they got Hodor, Keith from The Office, and
I'm friends with Keith from The Office on Facebook. Like Facebook official interview.
Call him you.
Scott Jeg.
No, we're calling
Keith from The Office.
We're calling Keith from The Office. In the way that, and I probably say this all the time, but Richard Herring always refers to Martin Freeman as Tim from The Office, and he said that in a parallel universe his dream would be that Tim from The Office would continue his career after The Office, but all of his roles he would play as Tim from The Office.
Nice.
So in Lord of the Rings, he would be Tim from The Office. In what's that fucking wonderful American program called?
Fargo.
Oh, that was awful. But yeah, Fargo. He'd be Tim from The Office in Fargo. So yeah. So go on. Anyway, Arry's signings. Okay. Nico Cranshaw.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Paul Merson.
I genuinely am excited.
Teddy Sheringham.
Like, this is the most excited I've been for a long time. This says a lot about my life.
That's not true. You were effusive over your daughter yesterday.
I was very excited about her winning a trophy.
Do you talk about that for a minute? Go on, be self-indulgent.
Should we talk about that? My daughter had her last day of primary school today. She's going up to high school in September, and yesterday was her leavers assembly, and they give away 4 trophies or awards, and they give like a friendship award, and then they give a literacy award and a sport award, and then the 4th one is like the biggest award that the school give out, and it's called the Citizens Award, which is, as they described it, it was our most valued representative, the one that the head teacher said, the one where when you think of when we have to send someone from the school to represent us, this person is the first person that we all think of, because she, represents us with pride and honour and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then they called my daughter's name now.
And you were proud as punch, weren't you? And
I
you
was very, very
Instagrammed the picture, and being the man that I am, my message Skinner straight away, just saying I was going to write on there, just saying she's going to get eaten alive in the real world. But I genuinely had a moment there where I thought, no, you were genuinely proud there, and because I don't have children, I'll never understand a father's pride, and that even harsh me thought that I didn't want to ruin it. But yeah, that was my sly comment. She's going to get eaten alive in the real world. Okay, people like that get nowhere. Nice, kind-hearted.
So on the radar, yeah, we'll just do this first. Ashley Cole, Stuart Downing, Robbie Keane, all links.
Yeah,
all links there. Then we've got Cheikh Ndoye.
Really?
On the Hull.
You wouldn't believe that he got mentioned twice in a podcast. Oh no, we mentioned Niam earlier, didn't we? Sorry.
Yeah, Niam.
They are hononyms. I thought I heard Niam then.
Oh man, I thought there was more. Right, I'm trying to find some more. Who else was mentioned?
Oh yeah, they'll be the official ones. But in terms of the
interest.
In terms of the what you want is the gossip.
Yeah,
the Harry Redknapp gossip.
That's what we need.
I can't believe that Harry Redknapp is still getting managers' jobs, and I say that knowing that how much of a closed shop football is.
But would you take him over Big Sam and Pads? They're your 3 choices.
You would. I tell you what, that is a covenant of cunts, if ever I...
Covenant of cunts. That's going to be the first tag I put on this video when it gets saved to you.
That's one of those quotes.
When it gets saved and stored in the channel's
tell you what,
video history, Covenant of Cunts is going to be the first thing.
If they are not the 2021 footballing variant of Operation U-Tree, I will be allegedly hugely surprised. How do you stop yourself? How do you stop yourself from talking yourself into shit on a recorded document? You don't bring it up. U-Tree, right? Okay. Fuck. Okay.
He's looking at Aaron Lennon.
Of course he is. He's looking at him. What, he hadn't seen him enough, has he? Like, he signed him 4 times. That's the last thing that lad needs, to be fair. Yeah, and we won't talk, lightly about mental health issues on this podcast, but fuck me. The Calhoun Review has done some lovely articles on mental health, and
we've got many
etc. Yeah, that's exactly it. And
giving the ball straight away.
Fuck me, Aaron Lennon. That is not going to make you happy at all, is it?
Aaron Lennon scored, didn't he?
Did he?
Scored in Everton's pre-season.
Lovely.
Which is
I thought the other day that.
Yeah, it was the other day. I thought that when I saw that, I thought that was bloody lovely. That was, and I thought the way that everyone, when it came out as well, because obviously the way people tend to be, you thought, oh, hang on a minute, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
But it was nice the way that everyone banded together around.
That's the old-fashioned Everton family club stuff, isn't it? That they talk about. He's scoring that there, yeah. We'll say nothing of that.
That.
Alessandrini. They don't care what the red side say, which I think is. And I know it's got a load of meaning, like the Z cars and all that stuff. But that song sums up the inferiority complex of that football club for me. We don't care what the red side say. You don't care so much that you play it at every single game. So why are you?
I think also with Robbie Keane, it'll be good because Birmingham was his boyhood club. So.
That is funny.
That'd be marvellous.
That is funny. The doctored photos of Robbie Keane in his Birmingham City bedroom. So who do you have? He'd have Steve Claridge. As his, it would be his boyhood hero from Birmingham.
You'd listen to the pop group Blue.
Who were well, Trevor Francis, I suppose, would be the obvious one, wouldn't it?
Also, though, we had this. Oh, what was his name? Oh my God! I want to say you'd never heard of him before. He was. I mentioned him ages ago. He played for Birmingham. He was really tall, massively tall Birmingham striker. Kevin. Was he Kevin? Search this out. Something tall Birmingham striker.
Tall Birmingham striker.
I'll just Google that.
Google. Right. I mean, Google's good, but fuck me.
Google. Okay, right. Okay.
Fuck me.
That's the level we're at now, is it?
Remember, you are talking to a man who, on stream last time, Googled Google in the Google taskbar, and not ironically, in a Google taskbar, he Googled
the internet went down.
That was incredible. You Googled. I saw
Nicola
it.
Zigic.
Nicola Zigic? No, because I know.
Okay, let's start. Right, that's the first thing. Look at me when I'm Googling. That's a tall Birmingham striker. That's a stupid thing, yes.
And I know Nicola Zigic because I saw him play for Valencia.
Kevin Francis,
that was it.
Kevin.
Right, I mean, I forgot.
I mean, having mocked you now, I mean, that Google search did. What did you Google? After you Google, what did you...
I Google, then realised that tall Birmingham striker.
So, hey, to be fair, so we mocked you there, but we need to take that back.
We got him second. Useful, man.
Nicola Zigic was... Well, he wasn't useful, not at Birmingham. He really wasn't. Valencia.
He had a spell at Everton as well, didn't he?
Was it Everton?
Okay, right. We're looking at Nicola fucking Zigic's Wikipedia now.
Also point out that this is essentially the Harry Redknapp game. That's why we played this, and the goalkeeper's Diop.
It probably is Papa Bouba Diop as well.
Papa Bouba Diop is one of my favourite. I was once driving to Old Trafford, and we were listening to Danny Baker.
I know for a fact it was Valencia. I saw him play there.
We were listening to Danny Baker's show on 5 Live.
Prodnose, for those of you who want to follow him on Twitter.
And someone had created a Portsmouth rap, which was around that era.
Yep.
Or not rap. It was more like a jazz song. To be fair, it was really, really good. And that's how the other day, when we were again on our Twitter messages, I managed to bring up Aruna Dindan.
That's a name.
There
are very few names that give quality. Me that really do evoke.
After Juve?
There are some players that just tickle me pink that I haven't thought of forever. You know, they're in the back of the brain, and you completely buried that bit of information. You know, it's like the lyrics to "Mysterious Girl" from Peter Andre. You don't know why you know them, but your brain's got them stored in there.
Everyone's got a Rule Fox.
They have Rule Fox. If you're our age, it is Rule Fox.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Let's do more Harry chat.
I've gone into a picture report of 10 best ridiculously tall players in world football.
Nice.
That's what I've been drawn into.
Oh well, obviously it's going to be Jan Koller from Borussia Dortmund.
Right. Crouchy.
Christopher Samba.
Yeah.
How tall is Christopher Samba?
Christopher Samba's about 6'7".
No, he's only 6'4".
Him and John Terry.
He had a terrible time. He went out to Russia, didn't he? To Maka.
Christoph van Hout. 6'10".
I like the fact that neither of us tried to complete Macca. We just left it at Macca.
Yeah, that's what they were, weren't they? They were doing something like a 4,000-mile round journey for home games.
That was a dodgy transfer deal, though, as well.
Right,
Lassana Diarra played there as well, didn't he?
Before we get to women's football, let's just wipe a little tear away from our eyes about Wojciech.
I can't do it. On reflection, I can't do it.
This is it. He's gone. You have to accept that.
Yeah, no, I'll accept it. I'm aware of the grief triangle. Yeah, you know damn well that it was. So it's I can't remember whether we've touched on it, but
Wojciech's gone. Yeah.
Wojciech Szczesny
is he officially gone?
He's officially gone. He's signed now for.
And we watched the press conference where he got all misty-eyed about 11 years at Arsenal, and he couldn't finish the reporter's question about like, are you emotional to leave Arsenal? How do you feel after 2 years of being phenomenal on a loan and proving himself at Roma?
Yeah. So the long story is that it's split. The fan base is fairly split. So famously, he had a terrible game at Southampton. He gave away a penalty. He was caught smoking in the changing rooms in the shower. I don't work out how that. And this is a man who's forgiven. So Arsene Wenger is a man who's forgiven Jack Wilshere smoking, and apparently Mesut still smoking a number of times. There had been some altercations with Szczesny's team and the Arsenal coaching staff, the goalkeeping coaching staff, which is long running. But it came to a head and he smoked in the shower at Southampton. And then what happened? There's one, if my bag is over there, there's one, if not, no. And so that had happened, and so he found himself out on loan. The Arsenal fan base is heavily split as to whether he should be coming back or not. I'm firmly in the camp that he absolutely should have come back.
Because I thought Petr Cech would just sign it over.
Petr Cech is 36 next season.
Exactly.
David Ospina's never really proved himself. Then Arsenal got the young keeper Emi Martinez, who's proven himself to be quite good as third choice. But the thought was, and it's fairly obvious, that how can he possibly not be good enough for Arsenal, but be good enough to be Juventus's your next legacy goalkeeper under the tutelage of Buffon. And so the press conference, as Skinner said, the press conference happened, and in Italian he was asked by I can't remember who the reporter was from, but about Arsenal, and about 5 or 6 seconds into the discussion, he essentially tears up and breaks down. He can't say anything about it, and clearly still loves Arsenal. And as a fan, you know how rare those moments are where you have a connection with a player that is also clearly of a world level in a position where you've struggled for some time. And so it just doesn't make any sense to me, and it just gets me. It does genuinely make me sad. And somebody wrote a lovely Tim Stillman. We'll touch on him in a minute. A prolific Arsenal blogger and a blogger on another topic that we'll come on to in a minute. He, like me, was talking about irrational love of players, etc. And he wrote a beautiful blog today on favourites, and just talks about how sometimes throughout your life there are disproportionate players that you absolutely fall in love with. They don't necessarily justify that love in terms of the quality or even the longevity. They might just be fleeting people that come in and out, but they're incredible. And for me, Wojciech will always be one of those players. I think he'll be a huge regret that he never fulfilled his what he could have at Arsenal.
Alright, let's just wipe those. Dry your eyes.
Dry your eyes, mate. I know it's hard to.
Right, last.
But Wenger's mind has been made up.
But he obviously is going to support him and his career, because, for Fabianski's and Vita Manone's, for example.
He signed for Reading.
Hasn't been that.
Vita Manone signed for Reading.
Alright, and should we talk any Euros?
Are we doing?
Yeah. So. The two last things we want to talk about. I want to do books.
I do want to do books.
Can we do books now, so we can at least finish on football rather than it being a book thing?
Yeah.
Well, go on then.
Shall I give you the list?
So what? Who's in the final? No, it's not in the final yet. It's only just started. We'll do England-Scotland if they're on it. Scotland won't be on there.
Right.
Do England-Spain, because that was a good game last time.
So last week we got onto the subject of Dan Brown.
Yeah, we
stumbled upon
we
it.
just stumbled, and we kept coming back to Dan Brown for some reason. So then you suggested that people send in their book suggestions.
Yep.
There was other stuff which we haven't covered, but we haven't got enough time to now.
No, we haven't.
We literally have no time.
Yeah, we literally have nothing. I can't find the bloody... Right, there it is. So, Darren, who's Peter Amor on Twitter, if you've got them Twitters, said the Red Riding series by David Peace.
Okay.
Read them?
Nope. This is the big reveal now, having spoken about books. So I did English Literature at university, and I only read classic. Don't read anything that was published after probably about 1900. So that really limits it. I've read a couple of modern books, but yeah, generally don't read only that stuff. I'm going to base my stuff back in. Give myself a good fundamental before I progress and read all the modern shit that people are knocking out. So no, I haven't read that. What's it about?
Good. Well, I sort of trying to bring it around to football. David Peace also wrote a book called Red or Dead, which is again not what he's, but it's a fictional story of Bill Shankly being manager of Liverpool.
Yep.
And he also wrote The Damned United.
Okay.
So if you're aware of how The Damned United is written, you know, it's first person and it's all fictional, but obviously it's based on
Karen Carney there taking the piss.
It's based on Clough's brief time at Leeds United. Now, Red or Dead is very similar to that, but it's about Shankly at Liverpool.
Oh, I like it.
It's interesting in that his style of writing, in Red or Dead especially, is that he will repeat the same thing over and over and over again. Now I'm assuming it's meant to, you know, be about Shankly's attention to detail, but he will literally say, oh, you know, game against Huddersfield or whatever, team, and he lists the team, and then played well, and then he'll list the team again in full. So before you know it, you've got 5 pages where essentially every other paragraph is the team that they played that day in full.
Oh, interesting.
It's a very bizarre. It took me a while to get into it, and it's about 3 times bigger than The Damned United, and that's interesting in itself the way it's written.
Okay.
But yeah, unfortunately for this section, I know more about The Damned United and Red or Dead than I do the Red Riding series.
That's all right. We'll take that. We'll jot these down somewhere. We'll see if we can get a bit of a thing. Right. Next suggestion.
The next suggestion is one again I've not heard of. It's called This Love Is Not for Cowards.
Okay.
Wild Swan.
It is about. Hang on, because I genuinely had to look this up, and I've got it here. It's. When my phone starts working. Salvation and Soccer in. No. Where's that?
Oh well, Ciudad Juarez.
There you go. See?
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and it's a more than
so
10 people are murdered every day.
It's Mexican football, presumably.
You've got the size of Philadelphia. Yeah, and it's. I did suggest non-football related books. I have a present today. The Rough Guide to Cult Football.
That was given to you today, wasn't it?
That was given to me today
by your co-host Alexander Daniel.
He gave me. The rivalry. That's
fantastic.
I mean, I'm just going to get
it's worth it for the team.
Look at that. In 1978, Mönchengladbach beat Dortmund 12-0.
They did.
12-0.
Egypt beat Libya 1-0 in the All Africa Games, if you can believe it, in 1978. So I was -4.
The FOG game, Ajax 5, Liverpool 1.
Oh, I'd fucking watch that over and over again, I would.
Bill Shankly's Liverpool were the favourites to win the competition, while Ajax were unknown, unfancied opponents.
And what's really interesting is a little unknown fact about that, is that Nwankwo Kanu was on the bench.
Yeah.
The reveal for that was that the game was played in 1966.
1966,
20-year-old Nwankwo Kanu.
Bringing it back to Harry Redknapp. What is Nwankwo doing now? Because Harry will have him.
Benjani Mwarawari.
Yeah.
Kanu up front, Bouba Diop running in the midfield.
We need a striker. I know a lad.
Obafemi Martins will get signed back as well.
That was suggested by Chris, who has got 2 Twitters because he's selfish prick. Etchtastic and @CArmband of his Twitter handle.
Can you talk me
He's
a
different guy. He did a lot of writing on my old website, Tattoo Football. Awful lot.
What's why the 2 counts?
One is more
business, more pleasure.
Yeah, one's more like one's more personal, one's more utri. One's for CArmband is his football account essentially.
Okay.
And then because he's very into politics and history, and he likes cycling and stuff like that, so he keeps them separate really.
Nice.
We've had The Old Man and the Sea.
Nice.
Obviously, bit of Hammers.
saw him last
little. Yeah,
Old man.
I love Old Man in the Sea. Now Andrew, who isn't, as far as I'm aware, still not online. I don't know where he's gone.
We haven't got him.
He's disappeared.
We've not got him.
He doesn't like the Old Man in the Sea. Thinks it's dull, and I couldn't disagree more. I love the Old Man in the Sea.
Okay, I suppose that comes down.
Anyway, I do think he's to be honest, I do think he's a bit of a twat.
Yeah,
but that's why I like him. I don't. But yeah, Old Man in the Sea would be the one I would choose, and I've read it multiple times. I think it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing.
Where are you looking to plug that in?
If I keep
some sort of socket.
You're gonna have to do that because I'm in the middle of playing.
Exactly.
But I'm playing. I'm doing the play.
Neither of you are actually doing anything.
Well, I'm only not doing anything because he's not doing anything.
It's just a plug in, mate.
Right,
we need to explain why we're playing this.
Not yet. We're still doing books. You're so desperate to move on to next topics. You wanted to talk about Woj when we were doing. Christ, always the next thing with you. He wants to wrap it up. He's got a phone call to make, or he's got somewhere to be. He's a busy man. To be fair, he's the only busy man here.
Right. Look, not at the moment, no.
We
definitely not.
We had loads of suggestions. We had My Left Foot.
Okay.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, go home.
Go Set a Watchman.
Oh, go home. Fuck me. Who's suggesting that shit?
Girl on a Train.
Genuinely, who said, fuck off. Who's suggesting this shit?
There's loads. The one which is quite interesting, which I wanted to just
none of those, let's be perfectly clear. Fucking Harper Lee.
Fodder.
I'm going to bust up a chifferone in a minute. That's a good...
I do... The suggestions which were made, there's two in particular which I wanted to talk about.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Coal House and Mablethorpe, which are two books which are written by an author called Wayne Barton. Wayne Barton is a very good friend of mine, and he...
I don't think we agreed to flog mate stuff here.
No, hang on. There's more to it than that.
I did know Ernest Hemingway though. He's
the one who first sort of started me off writing and editing and gave me a website, really, which was on News Now, and because he was going to close it down, and I said, well, I'll have a go, and he was like, yeah, have it. And through that I interviewed a shed load. That's how I interviewed Jeff Stelling, and loads of other people, just random people. That's how I met Keith from The Office. And
was
DJ
it Jeff Stelling that wrote in about To Kill a Mockingbird and half?
It was Jeff Stelling.
Of course it was. Desperate to not be caught up in the Richard Keys of racism, or the Ron Atkinson racism thing. Big fan of Harper Lee. I am. Atticus Finch. If you had to ask me to name a hero, I'd say Atticus Finch. That's what Jeff Stelling's favourite person in the world is Atticus Finch.
Yes.
But not actually Atticus Finch. Actually Gregory Peck playing Atticus Finch, because Jeff Stelling is unable to tell the difference between an actor playing a character and the person himself. That's true, that is. Okay, right, so most of those are dreadful book suggestions. Old Man in the Sea wins that for me.
Old Man in the Sea is my favourite out of that. But again, genuinely, Wayne Barton is a good... He also...
Is he related to Warren Barton?
No, he's not.
Joey Barton?
No, none of the famous Bartons. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, he might be.
Misha Barton?
If he's related to Misha Barton, then, I'm going to be better friends with him tomorrow than I am today. But
he's a very good friend with him.
Jordan Nobbs got a hat-trick earlier this week.
He also, just to try and bring it back to football, he wrote Gordon Hill's autobiography.
Okay.
And Brian Greenoff's.
Yep.
And is currently doing the officially sanctioned one of Jimmy Murphy, who, if anyone doesn't know, was Matt Besby's...
That's everybody.
Yeah.
Let's be perfectly clear.
Was Matt Besby's assistant manager during the
golden era.
Yeah. Was also the manager of Wales. Up until recently, he was the only person to guide Wales to a international tournament.
Yeah, it didn't guide so much as getting in because of passport issues for other teams. But yeah, we'll go with that.
It was in there.
They were in there.
Manager to do it.
They went out
until recently.
Out to a 17-year-old Pele.
And but yeah, he was the one who managed the United side when Matt Busby was in hospital in Munich.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was instrumental in like the Busby Babes. He was the one that was just as instrumental.
Interesting. That is genuinely interesting.
Jimmy Murphy was like he was the one that all of the players would be. You know, he's sort of like the trainer.
Yeah.
In old school football.
He's Mike Phelan.
Yeah. That's a horrible comparison. I was gonna go with he was Peter Taylor to Matt Busby's Brian Clough.
Nice. Okay.
Mike Phelan.
Or
I mean, we went Mike Phelan. I was going to go Peter Taylor, but we went Mike Phelan.
Where's Mike Phelan now?
He was Kevin Bond. He was Kevin Bond to Matt Busby's Arry. I mean, I'm making Matt Busby sound like an.
We could have gone Brian Kidd. We could have extended him being Brian Kidd there, couldn't we?
Speak that man's name.
Right, we need to talk about England.
We need to talk women's football now, don't we? Right, we need to talk football.
Right. Well, I'm not done with good books. I'm done with the shit that those fucking the standard of people that watch this shit. It's clearly it's self-selecting. Like if we were a better podcast, we'd have a better choice of. Oh God, no one suggested a single thing of note there outside of Hemingway.
You hadn't read some of them.
Yeah,
you read Wild Swans.
I've never seen Celebrity Love Island. I know that's shit.
No.
Going on a train. Fuck off.
Did you know that movie as well?
Fuck off.
Oh God, it was terrible.
Anyway,
Jesus.
Right. So
sorry, I've seen the figures for the Facebook.
Oh.
Right, we haven't. Right,
it's not good.
Before we go to women, it's surprisingly good.
This is going to come to an end. This is going to come to an end in a minute. So we're going to have to talk about
women's football. Can we just say that Michu is retired?
We'll do that. We'll wrap that up in a bit. We'll do that as the outro.
All right, let's do.
Because we'll keep talking about that.
Aguero to Chelsea?
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about that.
That's the top of the list.
We didn't do Lemar Arsenal. The first two things. In fact, we haven't done more. Let's go through the things we haven't done. Aguero Chelsea, Lemar Arsenal, Keane Cole down in. We did that. We didn't do Mahrez to Roma.
No.
Then we got a couple of other things.
Look at that. Sanchez to Milan is next to AC Bayern on the running order. We didn't talk about it.
And you didn't even play him. So anyway, let's get to. We didn't do De Siglio
Paul Robinson retired.
So we'll do that as the outro. So. The reason we're doing this is because genuinely, for all of our bluster, etc., like it really is about, and hopefully this will come across from the writing on Calhoun Review and stuff. It is genuinely an inclusive environment where you talk about whatever you wish to, and we talk about football, and really selfishly we talk about men's football, and with the recent BBC pay dispute and the Andy Murray's comments about. About tennis players and it being amazing. Women and what have you and stuff. This is a football podcast, it's FIFA podcast and FIFA 17 and I don't think it got enough credit at all. Put women's football in very limited. There was some stick given because the women, you can't actually play against the men's team with the women's team because their ratings are actually different. So an 80 rated female player isn't as good as an 80 rated male player, and that was obviously fucking dodgy. But they put first steps were made, and they've put women's game in the game, which is huge
on TV now, which is awesome.
And there really is. There's an increase in coverage, and so at the moment it's the Women's Euros. So to give it its official title, it is the UEFA Women's Euros. Or European Championships 2017. I think it's in Holland. It's in the Netherlands to give it its official title. Holland is just one regional part of Netherlands, as you well know. Along with like Wallonia and that's Belgium. But no, that's not. That's Holland. And so I thought it's a bit of a last suggestion that we would play a bit of a women's game. Not that I've got anything to say really about it, but I just wanted to give it a bit of coverage that it absolutely deserves to big it up the fact that it's on FIFA. And so Mark Sampson is the England manager. He's got loads of mixed reviews, and what's really interesting is statistically at the last international tournament, England were the worst performing team at the tournament, which was strange because there is a professional league here in England. like here Wales, but England as well. And they were the worst performing team. They got absolutely hammered by Spain, and this is why we're playing this game now, in the last tournament, etc. But England played Scotland the other day. It's the first time Scotland have ever qualified for a Scotland women's have ever qualified. Yeah. I don't know whether they're ladies or women. There's semantically there's an interesting thing around what various clubs are called and the women ladies thing. But yeah, the score was 6-0 to England, which was an absolute hammering for Scotland, and you know, it felt a bit unfortunate. It felt a bit unfortunate for Scotland watching it, but the quality of the English women's game really is now quite high, and the chairman of the FA, whose name keeps escaping me now, he's not been in post an awful long time, the new guy, but he was talking about it and this morning on Radio 4, and he was, well, it's definitely not Greg Dyke, and it's not that prick who went on to
why do I keep thinking Bernstein? Is it Bernstein?
No, it's not. And it's not Ornstein either. He's just your Arsenal Twitter man. So he was talking about the investment, the grassroots, etc. And one of the interesting things, so fitness is obviously a huge thing, and they were talking about the emphasis that they put on fitness for the women's team, and it really did show in the last kind of 20 minutes against Scotland. And then another thing, and I wasn't quite sure how to read it and quite why this was the case, but I'm going to try and take it as a positive, because I am inherently negative about most things. But the comment was made that actually the psychology of football was actually taken far more seriously by the England women's team before it was taken seriously by the men's team, and they've actually spent a load of time talking about like mental fortitude and being psychologically as well as physically ready for the tournament. But as I've said, I mentioned him earlier, and the reason I wanted to talk about it was because there's a guy, and I say he does write with an Arsenal tint on, and you're going to have to put up with that if you want to read about it, but Tim Stillman, I can't even remember what his Twitter name is, but find him. You can find him.
Stilberto, isn't it?
Stilberto, that's it. You can find him on Twitter, and he writes extensively about Brazilian football as well as Arsenal, but women's football is his bag. He's followed Arsenal forever. He's obsessive, and he talks really knowledgeably about the whole England setup and the players and how well X, Y and Z are doing, and there are just some really interesting stories in the women's game that you just don't get in men's football really. So I was looking earlier, I think I got Kirby on the bench, who I'll probably bring on now actually. If I'm right, Fran Kirby was actually a couple of years ago homeless. I think that was a big thing. Did I put her on?
There's also, no, just while we're on the subject, there is a guy, I'm just trying to find this, I'm on the right account, Rich Lafferty on
Kyle Lafferty related?
No, it's at Rich J Lafferty, or Laverty, Laverty. He writes for Our Game magazine, In Bed with Maradona, Sports Beat, on the Offside Raw podcast, and he writes and talks exclusively about women's football as well. He's very good following.
Nice. So yeah, I wanted to just do a bit of coverage again. I haven't got an awful lot to say. Like I'm not going to purport to watch a load of it. I'll watch as ever, like the FA Cup final, that being a bit of a thing. Arsenal had a really big run at it for a long time. Some of the Champions League stuff's really interesting as well. With Lyon having the Lionesses and all of that stuff. Some of the clubs now. In fact, what might be a good comment just because of your Manchester United bias is, so one of the ongoing things.
Terrible.
One of the ongoing things about Manchester United and professional football is, so now most big clubs have got women's teams. The most notable absentee in world football, and I do mean this in world football, is Manchester United, who have 3 seasons ago came out and they said that they would look into it. 2 seasons ago they came out and they said they would look into it, and about 8 weeks ago, I think it was now, it came up again, and the comment was almost verbatim that they will look into it. And I just wanted to get your view on it, because like, you are a man that lives in a very female dominated family. You know, you obviously want, you know, equality and stuff is really important to you. You've got a young daughter, 2 young daughters, but one wins trophies and the other gets put to work in a workhouse. So I just wonder what your views were, because again, you know, trying to be passionate about you and critical of your own football club is difficult. And Arsenal, they've been a point of a pride of joy, particularly for Stilberto. And I wondered what your view was on Man United's not having a ladies football team, women's football team, and I wonder whether you knew anything that I didn't about why that might be. Or
no, I genuinely don't. My eldest is in the girls football team for her now ex-primary school as of today. She's in the girls football team. She played tournaments. She was really good. She played up front, and she, obviously knowing my love of Manchester United, said to me, "Oh, Dad, if I keep practicing, I can play for Manchester United." And it's you have to sort of say, "No, you can't."
She can't be Keira Knightley.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, you made me look like a right plum there, haven't you?
It's not feasible, and it's just in this day and age, and for that club, the money they have, the exposure they have, the power they have, you know, the sway they have, and all that. To not have a women's football team is just fucking draconian. It's just wrong. It's I don't understand it, because the audience is there.
Well, Manchester City have come from nowhere. They did. In fact, they essentially took the
Are we still talking women's football?
Yeah. They did the Roberto Mancini approach, where they just bought a load of Arsenal players. They bought loads of the Arsenal players. They took. Names have now entirely escaped. Anyway, they bought a load of really, really good players, and Man City are now one of the most eminent teams. So it's not even a case of it's Manchester United's fear of them not particularly being a big club.
No.
Surely it can't be that. They've, as you say, they've got the money, they've got the name, etc. Surely if they wanted to set a club up for probably less money than it would cost to pay Phil and I'm not being divisive, but Wayne Rooney's wages or Zlatan's wages, it probably costs less than that to run a women's club on a weekly basis. There will be a commercial element to it. There will be people buying, the women's football shirts for the footballs.
And look at the other side with Man City. They've got like a hell of a setup and put a lot of time and effort into that.
Yeah,
and they run that very nicely.
There's no reason why Man United don't have a women's football team. There's no reason for it. It's just I cannot work it out. I really cannot work out why they don't do it.
Maybe that's an ongoing thing then. Maybe, and I know you're always looking for stuff to write about and stuff. Maybe that is something that we actually try and do as part of this thing, is spend some time talking about other parts of football. So not necessarily just women's football, so like junior football and stuff. But maybe I don't know whether is there any legs for you trying to see why there must be, somebody would have written an article on why they believe Manchester United haven't got a women's football team. There might be an interesting story that I don't know about, that Skinner's not heard about, that people, the idiots that are watching and sending in shit book recommendations, No,
we'll do it. We'll that's the first on next week's running order. That's the topic. That's going to be on there. Well,
right, to make it work, we've got to put it fourth on the list. Is what it looks like, because then we'll get to it.
Okay. But I think it's good. I think
it's worth chatting about.
Yeah, and I think there should be
get some energy.
There's sections, that I think women's football is on there, and I do think grassroots.
Yeah. I think we've covered everything without covering anything at all.
No, we've covered that. I mean, we've covered. I genuinely came over here and thought, right, I just want to talk about Harry Redknapp, Birmingham, trying to sign Ashley Cole and Robbie Keane and Stuart Downing. And we accomplished that.
Well, we're going to do it. He's got two in the bag there, Michu and Robinson.
Yes, that's what he's got there.
Yeah.
So
that's why I put Michu and Paul Robinson retiring, because I saw that straight after you messaged saying about Harry Redknapp wanting to sign him.
Want to sign everybody.
Of Michu, genuinely, my brain went, but did Michu realise Harry Redknapp?
That's exactly it.
Still at Birmingham.
And with no signing on fees, Harry Redknapp's not going to get him because he won't get any kickbacks, allegedly. So that's not going to happen. So we'll finish up in a minute. probably now. But I just want. Is there any more questions that you had sent in? Any comments that we've got to follow up on? Any more dreadful books that the morons that watch this shit sending in?
We've still got
Catcher in the Rye. Fuck off.
We do appreciate everyone who spends time watching us.
I mean, we have been talking
2/3 of us appreciate.
We appreciate that.
1 hour 49 minutes, and you just called them all morons.
Well,
and Chitch is back.
Chitch is back.
Chitch is back.
No, Andrew.
No, still no. He's let us down. Bredin, if you do watch this, you know you're a twat.
And there we go.
And
what we got? Anything else?
There you go. I'm tagging it. Do you know what? Most of these comments are now Chitch talking about goats and Sean Goater.
Has he got a favourite kind of goat?
Chitch, what's your favourite type of goat?
Maybe tweet that in for next week. No, so not
gone to.
He literally. This is what it was. Is Sean gave us proper questions that he thought through, and then Chitch said, "What about the goat? Best player ever?" And then.
But then you read what you said, don't you?
Ago.
I mean, this is the quality of question that a podcast this poor deserves. And maybe I've been unfair with the book suggestions. Maybe when this becomes a better podcast, we'll have a better quality of viewer, and the quality of books will go up. So maybe it's my own fault.
Maybe it is.
He's now making comments in this situation.
Maybe it's my own
fault.
fault.
He's now making comments about my mother.
Are you suggesting? And Skinner's desperate to suggest that I'm not speaking on behalf of the podcast here. He's trying to very clearly distance himself from my views.
Even if they just logged in for 5-10 minutes, I think that's superb effort.
The difference between me and you is that you've got a strong social media background where you know how to grow a community, and I am a petrified isolationist who just wants to use the Kitson line. I don't want lots of followers. I want 12 very devoted followers. I mean, call them disciples if you will.
Yeah.
But that is what I'm actually looking for. So
this video, as much as you're slagging them off now, it's the most viewed video podcast we've ever done,
and that's great
already.
And that's good. Next week's
most views.
Whether they ever come back,
and you're talking hundreds.
We're talking hundreds. That's fine.
So you just want Sean and Andrew, basically?
Yeah, basically.
You want Sean and Andrew. You're annoyed that Andrew isn't there. I've tagged him in the post now.
I want Harper Lee to write another book that we found up about.
Let's sign off with style.
That's what he does every time. He's desperate to move on again. I don't know what his beef is.
I really need a week.
Go and have a week. No, I genuinely think that's it. So for next week, I do want more book selections. I know it's completely ridiculous. It's apropos of nothing. I do want more book selections next week, but please, good ones.
There's more people wanting to come on the podcast.
Well,
we'll talk about that off camera. I'm not starting him off on that.
Well, no, we'll talk about that. No, I think it's more people's a good idea. But yeah, so if you've got anything you want to talk about, ideally, so the two things that we ask for every week, well, three things are general topics to talk about.
Yeah.
Books. I want more books. I think that genuinely, when I'm not being unnecessarily dismissive, and partly necessarily dismissive, because again, the book selections were shit.
Come on.
And then game choices. Because I'd quite like to do that.
Yeah. FIFA game choices.
Yeah, game choice. What games should we play?
Yeah. And why?
Is a good one. Why? Also, transfer rumours and stories,
we've got
which
kits to
aren't
go through
the
as well.
big ones which you're not going to just load up the Sky Sports app and go, oh, hang on a minute, I'll click transfer news up there, because that's just what Sky News want to talk about. Like transfer rumours from, say, Newport County. Proper.
Not just Javi Hernandez to West Ham for 15
which we didn't even talk about.
But
I know a lot of people out there, my mates, West Brom fans.
Weird and wonderful.
Hull fans. I know a lot of people who support other clubs who I'm not going to know who West Brom are rumoured to be signing, really.
Just click the weird and wonderful for a bit. See what
just the weird and wonderful. Click weird and wonderful.
Click weird and wonderful.
Oh, we're not even going to go down that road. I know what that means. I'm pretty sure you know what that means. So we're going to wrap it up. But yeah, please just send some stuff in. Because we do genuinely appreciate it.
Can we finish on this? We'll finish on
what you're in charge.
Barcelona apparently are ready to make an €80 million bid for Liverpool's Philippe Coutinho.
Whatever.
But what about Newport County?
Newport County. See, this is what we mean. But no, get involved, because this week we had quite a lot of people getting involved, and it did sort of keep us on track somewhat. If people are watching for the first time, they may have thought this was quite rambly, but you should have fucking seen us the first time.
This is 2 hours. This is 2 hours. This is
and frankly, if they hadn't done the logic, I mean, we'd hidden it in the title. The title is only 3 words long, and ramble is the 3rd one. Yeah. So that is going to be that. So anyway, we'll sign off now. We signed off in that awkward position where I'm the closest to the camera, so I look the fattest, and I'm the loudest. So we get here every fucking week.
Right then, we're saying goodbye here.
I'm the loudest. Skinner will do what he always does and just turn that off when there's loads of people watching it. So we'll say goodbye to that camera.
Right, bye,
everybody down there. See you later, Chich.
Bye, Chich.
See you later, Chich.
We're going to say cheerio on the YouTubes as well.
We're saying goodbye to the whole internet.
We're going to say goodbye to the whole internet.
Just every internet.
Yeah, so thanks for watching. Again, at some point when we get good, we'll edit this shit down and there'll be some good stuff. Skinner did get away without talking about how much he just got rodded on ladies football. Absolute a couple of thunder cunts from me there that I haven't touched. I scored some blinders tonight. I scored some absolute blinders tonight. And on that note, Skinner's going to go for a wee and I'm going to turn this off.
Nice. See you next week.